Hey, True Believers. Chris Mack coming at you with New Mutants number 60. Now, I kind of teased and talked about this yesterday during the Excalibur review. This was a good read. Heartbreaking, but fun. This was part of the Fall of the Mutants event. There was a lot of books that kind of coincide on this, so I don't even know where to start with the reading order. The important thing that came out of this was that the X-Men were presumed dead, and that's how we got the Australian X-Men there for a while, and kind of how it led to all the teams being back together there towards the end. So this one, when you first jump into it, you kind of have to get over how the animals talk. That's probably the only thing about this book that kind of killed me, and we'll talk about that here in a second. But all you really need to know is it revolves around this bird boy and the animator, I think is what he's called. Let's see. The bird boy, creatures like that. Yeah, the animator. But that panel, the way it opens, and the anger in the animator's eye is that bird boy for bringing the New Mutants to his Paradise Island, and the way that how all his mad scientist stuff is just done in silhouette to bring these to the forefront. Very well done. Panel. Yeah, excuse me, not enough coffee. But this book is called Suspended Animation. This is done by Louise Simonson, writer, Bret Blevins doing the penciling, Terry Austin inkers, Glynis Oliver colorist, Tom Orzechowski letterer, and Nasanti editor, and Tom DeFalco chief. And the print date on this was February 1988. And so, as I said, great artwork. The animators enraged, but right off the bat, stakes are made. The New Mutants have been captured. The animator, he basically wants to take the New Mutants' genetic stuff and do eugenics to make animal mutant hybrids of his own machinations. I think's the word. Like I said, just not all there today. Anyway, we find out that he's working for Commander Hodge. Hodge is part of the right. If you want to know more about what he's up to, read X Factor during this time because, he is a twerp, and he gets a lot of his comeuppance later down the road. But at this point, this is Danny using her powers, her illusion powers, because it's hers, right, to kind of bring out your fears, which the animator is in fear of him because he's trying to do stuff behind Hodge's back. And a lot of the panels with him are just terrifying. I like this otherworldly look of him. But as you get into where the animals are talking, I'm trying to find a good panel for you guys. Like here it says, come with friends. You have to kind of work around that, but at least it kind of gives personality to the dialogue boxes instead of it just being straight up dialogue. So it's interesting in that regard. And this to me kind of reminded me like a James Bond thinks it's on this Paradise Island. There's all these creatures. It's just something you'd read out of like a detective or a sci-fi novel. So what's really interesting about this part of the book is Doug's trying to stick up for Rain because all of them know that Rain can turn into a werewolf. They punch Doug, and Rain just goes ballistic. So when this happens, there's a whole moment of Rain talk about how I'm no better than them. Doug saying, listen to me. In your wolf form, you're the strongest of us. Switch to it. I won't. I can't. Not before those creatures. They're horrid and evil, and in my wolf form, I have such evil thoughts. I want to kill them. I don't want to ever be a wolf again. So you get these moments with her really torn about what she is. Now, while that's happening, we find out that Warlock and not Cannibal, Sunspot were away, so they didn't get brought into the mix. Magneto tells them to stay at the mansion because he finds out that the New Mutants had run away, even though he had quote-unquote grounded them. So that's one thing I wanted to mention here is I was talking about yesterday with the Chris Claremont's X-Men documentary on Amazon Prime. Claremont initially wanted to, by I think he said issue 300 of his X-Men run, wanted to eventually kill off Professor X and bring in Magneto as the head of the school. And that's kind of what he was working towards in New Mutants. And that's why we didn't see a whole lot of Professor X during this time. But Claremont left, and that never came to fruition. So I always thought that was kind of interesting. And again, how I like that this is Louise Simonson working on this with Ann Nasanti editing, because, Claremont, he kind of kept those people close to him in his writings. And you can see how they try to keep the tone of the characters the same. And the book really starts to pick up once the mutants are able to escape. And what's funny is Ileana ports back to the mansion and she goes, I know he ran off when he told us not to, but it was for a good cause, and now we're in trouble. And we need your help because there's other people, sort of, that are in trouble, and you're not here, are you? I like how the panels go. She's moving through the house, and she comes back to the brawl from the mansion with a bat, and you just get a whomp. That's awesome. Now, eventually, they think the battle's won, but we find that Hodge has come to the island because he sees that the Aunt Annie Mater has basically lied about what he's doing. And so Hodge is there to take out whatever is happening in those. I'd like to see like a Marvel Legends version of these the Wrights armor, because it's really interesting design. I don't like what they stand for, but it's an interesting character design. And so some things happen there, and everything turns into a full tilt brawl where the Wright starts to kill all the animals, and so they want to rebel. They want to be free, and so they start to gather up and help the New Mutants again because they're supposed to be taken by Hodge. And yeah, it's just a great read all around, guys. Now, what makes this book important is something happens with Doug, and it's really heartbreaking as the book starts to wind down. Yeah, there's a heartbreaking moment with Rain and Douglock. He goes, why do you lie there? Can we not now experience joyous reunion? And yeah, this is where the emotional part of the book starts to tug and really starts to break your heart at what happens to Doug Ramsey. So yeah, I don't want to spoil the whole book. That's why I just wanted to kind of do a quick review over it. But yeah, this was an excellent comic book by Louise Simonson. The artwork's absolutely amazing, and just a great read overall. So if you guys have enjoyed this comic book, we really would appreciate it if you please, first and foremost, support your local comic shop and see if you can get a copy of it. And if you've enjoyed this review, we really appreciate if you take a moment to hit like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that fancy little mutant bell next to subscribe, we really would appreciate it. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And you can come to the channel. We'd love to hear your feedback and talk with y'all down in the comments below or on our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description below. So with all that said, I hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.